I want to talk about Battlefront 2 and details about Conquest mode and why it wouldn't really work right now. I know a lot of you have just disliked the video for me saying Conquest wouldn't work. But yeah, I really want Conquest. Everybody wants Conquest. I also want Carrier Assault, as Carrier Assault would be perfect for this game. You know, Star Wars and big carriers. But yeah, we need to talk about why Conquest wouldn't work, at least not right now. See, this comes down to the fact that we do not have enough ground vehicles in the game right now for Conquest to work. Now, more infantry types, like ARC Troopers, Rhoticas, Magna Guards, this type of stuff, would definitely help, but the main problem is ground vehicles. In Battlefield and other style games, with a Conquest style game mode, like let's say Homefront, as just a random pull, have a certain set of vehicles. You have a light, a medium, and a heavy. Battlefield 1, this is filled out by 4 types of tanks. Obviously, we have the heavy tank, the light tank, the land ship, and the assault tank. We're not going to count the behemoth tank. We have 2 types of armored trucks, the Garford armored truck that was added recently, and the artillery truck. Those are your mediums. Then we also have 2 types of armored cars. We have the the armored car, so I'm going to call it. It has a machine gun on top. Then you have the light armored car, which has no armor. And then you also have the cavalry, which I'm going to consider that a light as well. Battlefront 2 right now, most factions don't have enough vehicles to fall into the light, medium, heavy role. I mean, let's look at the Republic and the Confederacy. The Republic only has the AT-RT, the All-Terrain Recon Transport. It's a light walker. I mean, you might be able to consider it a medium in terms of role, but it's really a light. You know, while the Confederacy of Independent Systems has the AAT, the Armored Assault Tank. Now, the Armored Assault Tank, you could probably consider it a medium, maybe a heavy. In Star Wars, I'd classify it as a medium tank because we have things like the ATT, which are a lot heavier. So, let's just say it's a medium heavy. So, right now, Galactic Assault is fine with this setup because the clones, they're always kind of defending in these tight corridor maps. So the superior firepower and armor of the AAT doesn't really get matched against the AT-RT too much because the AT-RT can move around these maps easier than the AAT. So there's not really this huge disadvantage to either one. You know, it's like, oh, you have more firepower, but you're not being able to move around the map with the AAT, whereas the AT-RT, you have less firepower and less armor, but you can get around a lot easier. But let's say that they do introduce a Conquest map, and that map is like Galicia from Battlefield 1. If you played Battlefield 1 and you have the DLC, Galicia is basically a giant wide open field with some cover here and there. Now, there's a problem. If they introduce Conquest mode and like that, the AAT can basically shoot across the map with its siege mode fairly easily. And it can also push objectives with its armor, providing lots of cover and covering fire for its for the teammates. The AT-RT is not providing cover for troops. It's a recon vehicle. You can use its recon abilities. It can shoot at infantry, but it's not providing armor support. You know, you're running from objective to objective with it. You're not stopping a push with it. You know, I mean, you might be able to if you're skilled enough, but let's just say in general, it's not stopping a push. So this is the problem. The Confederacy doesn't have a light vehicle, and the Republic doesn't have a medium-ish heavy. I know you're going to say, add the ATT, but it's like, we're going to consider those kind of behemoths, like the AT-AT, map-specific behemoths. We're going to say they're like that. So, for the Republic, I'm going to say that for their medium-heavy, the vehicle that is most likely to fit this role is the AT-PT. Why I chose this vehicle and not a tank-like vehicle like the good old TX-30 Sabre class fighter tank? Well, because the glorious TX-30 Sabre class fighter tank, TX-130, it isn't canon. It's not canon anymore. Well, it's a great looking vehicle. It's a really cool vehicle. First introduced in a book, Boba Fett Crossfire, and then secondly introduced in a game I did a Let's Play of Star Wars, the Clone Wars video game that came out before the original Star Wars Battlefront. Really good game. I have a link to it in the description. Yeah, so the ATPT is definitely a medium-heavy vehicle that goes up against the AAT quite well because it has multiple different fire modes. The ATPT has 3 different guns. It has a rotating turret on top, it has a very forward-facing gun, and then it has like a sort of machine gun blaster cannon underneath. So that's very similar to the AAT's 3 different fire modes. The AAT has its main 2 cannons, it has a rotating turret, and then it also has a missile launcher or concussion rocket launcher. I forget what it's called. But yeah, these two are sort of evenly matched while providing asymmetry. Now, you want asymmetry. Asymmetrical multiplayer is a lot better than symmetrical. Next, we move on to the Confederacy's light vehicle. They need a light vehicle. Now, you might say the Stop. I'm gonna say, yeah, the Stop is a pretty good choice, or the TSMEU6 personal wheel bike. That's General Grievous's vehicle. I would say is another good choice, because I think this is a better choice than the Stop, because the Stop is really just a speeder bike. And going up against the ATRT, I think that the personal wheel bike is a better choice because it's a little fast. It's faster, and it has forward-facing guns. You can only shoot straight. Well, the Stop can do that too, but the Stop's, like I said, a lot more of a speeder than a combat vehicle. And the personal wheel bike, I think, would be a lot cooler to implement, to see that thing running around the battlefield. So, let's move on to the Empire and the Rebels. This isn't as bad. They're pretty fine. The Empire has the ATST and the speeder bike already. So that's, a medium-ish vehicle. It's hard determining where Star Wars vehicles lie, because you have, the ATST, and then you have AT-AT, which is, the next thing step up, and that's, a ultra-heavy, I consider it, or a behemoth. And the speeder bike, that's a light. That's really a very light. So, the Rebels have the X-34 and the speeder bike as well. I would say the X-34 counts as a light vehicle, because it is technically just a car with a gun on the front. So, I'm going to give them, for a medium, let's give them the T-2B. The T-2B was originally introduced in Star Wars Empire at War. Great strategy game. Now, this game isn't canon anymore. However, the T-2B was reintroduced to canon in Star Wars Commander. It's a very good vehicle. It's a hover vehicle. It's got a rotating turret that has 4 cannons in it. 4 repeating cannons. They're kind of light-ish, but it has 4 of them. So, yeah. It also has shields. So, while it might not have as heavy firepower as the ATST, it's faster and has a little bit more shields. So, there is a trade-off. It's a pretty good match for the ATST, especially in Empire at War. You have less firepower, but you're faster and you have shields. So, it's a good trade-off. Or we could give them the Free Runner, which I don't know a lot about this vehicle. All I know is it's canon and from Star Wars Galactic Defense. So here's what it looks like. It's a pretty weird looking vehicle. I don't know if it's a medium or a heavy. Not sure. We could also give the Empire, on some maps, instead of the ATST, they could be replaced with the TX-225 tank. That's the one from Rogue One that kind of has those forward-facing guns that just go up and down. It has the cargo bed on the back. Pretty interesting vehicle. It's based on a real-life vehicle. Actually, it is a real-life vehicle in the movie. It just kind of has stuff on it because they had a real tank drivers drive it so that no one was hurt, because driving a tank's not easy. So now we move on to the First Order and the Resistance. This is the most lopsided faction, because the First Order has the ATST, their version of the ATST, which I think is a heavier vehicle than the Empire's ATST. Not sure. And then they also have the Liuv, L-I-U-V, light utility vehicle, which is their light vehicle. So they're kind of covered in vehicles that they can introduce for Conquest. However, the Resistance, this is where it gets hard trying to determine, because they don't have anything. They have the Sky Speeder on crate, which I'm pretty sure that's only on crate. And then they have the Gion, whatever you pronounce it, however you pronounce it, 211 Patrol Speeder. Both of these are light speeders. There's no lore or content that has them with anything heavier than that. And that's the problem right now, is they're basically less equipped than the Zan Consortium. The Zan Consortium was super well equipped because, I don't know, reasons why the Resistance has nothing is beyond me. If they do introduce Conquest, personally, I'd leave out First Order and Resistance right now because, like, until we get more stuff with the Resistance, I got nothing. I mean, I guess you could just give them the Rebels vehicles. They give them a T2B. I guess that'd be fine. Or give them the free runner and keep the T2B with the Rebels. I don't know. Yeah, but this is just the main reasons why Conquest won't work right now is that we don't have enough vehicles. Unless we did infantry only Conquest. So, yeah. Tell me what you think. Tell me what vehicles do we think should be added for each side. Yeah, like I said, some factions are already well covered, like the Empire and the Rebels. Some are sort of covered, like the Republic. And yeah. Alright, bye.
Let's hunt some rebels. What's the plan?
We're tightening our grip on the auction house. We'll have it soon. Sector secure. The rebels are retreating. Eliminate the stragglers, then advance towards the docks. The rebels are boarding U-wing transports. I want those transports rigged for detonation. Let's ground the enemy and be done with this dust ball.
Wired for destruction.
off the U-wings. Detonation imminent. Transport destroyed. The rebels are dead or trapped in Mos Eisley. Additional forces will sort the mess, but we're finished with this place.